Canada is temporarily banning livestock imports from Texas after the discovery of a rare flesh-eating parasite. It's called New World Screwworm, and it was found in 2 Texas calves, triggering cross-border restrictions and fears. The screwworm's larvae can infest most animals, including humans in rare cases, and if left unchecked, an outbreak can decimate cattle herds and other wildlife. Nathaniel Dove reports on the consequences for Canada.
Canada just cut off Texas cattle, and another beef price hike may already be on the way. The reason is a flesh-eating parasite that has not touched American soil in 60 years. It showed up in a Texas calf 4 days ago. By the next morning, there were 2 cases. By the day after that, Canada had shut the border. And the clock is now ticking on how far this spreads before summer hits its peak. Here is exactly what happened and why it matters to every Canadian buying beef at the grocery store. On the 3rd of June 2026, the United States Department of Agriculture confirmed the first case of New World Screwworm on American soil since 1966. A 3-week-old calf on a ranch in La Pryor, Texas, Zavala County, roughly 50 miles from the Mexican border. A private veterinarian had noticed something wrong with the animal, collected samples, and submitted them for testing. The results came back positive. Within 24 hours, a second case was confirmed. 5.6 miles away, a 1-month-old calf in the same county. The USDA established a quarantine zone around both sites immediately, blocking any animal movement out of the area without inspection. On June 5th, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared a state of disaster. His exact words at a press conference, "This is likely to spread over the course of the summer." That same day, Canada's Food Inspection Agency announced a temporary ban on all livestock from Texas, cattle, horses, any warm-blooded animal that had been in the state within 21 days before attempting to cross into Canada. Texas pushed back. A spokesperson for Abbott told reporters Canada was overreacting and that the parasite does not impact inspected Texas beef. Canada did not lift the ban. To understand why Canada acted this quickly, you need to understand what this parasite actually does. The New World Screwworm is a parasitic fly. The female finds an open wound, a cut, a scratch, a body opening on any warm-blooded animal, and lays her eggs directly inside it. The eggs hatch within hours. What emerges are hundreds of larvae with sharp, hooked mouths. And unlike ordinary maggots, which feed on dead tissue, screwworm larvae burrow into healthy, living flesh. They spiral deeper with every feeding cycle. The name screwworm comes from the corkscrew motion the larvae use as they drill inward. The wound grows, the damage accelerates. If the animal is not treated quickly, the infestation kills it. The fly can infect humans too. Rare, but documented. This parasite did not appear out of nowhere. It has been moving north for 2 years. Cases began rising across Central America in 2022. By 2023, spread had accelerated through Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and El Salvador. In November 2024, it was detected in Chiapas, Mexico. The first sign, the biological barrier that had contained it for decades, had collapsed. Through 2025, it pushed steadily northward through Mexico. The US had surveillance trap lines running across southern Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California since July 2025. The traps were supposed to catch it before it crossed. They did not catch it in time. The fact that the US eradicated this parasite once before makes its return all the more striking. Before 1966, the New World Screwworm was an annual warm weather disaster for American cattle ranchers. Every summer, the flies moved north and devastated herds across the southern United States. Animals died, losses ran into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Then the USDA developed one of the most creative pest control programs in the history of agriculture. Scientists bred male screwworm flies in captivity and sterilized them using radiation. Then they released them by the billions into areas with active screwworm populations. The logic was simple and brutal. Female screwworm flies mate only once in their entire lifetime. If a female mates with a sterile male, she produces no viable offspring. Release enough sterile males, and eventually almost every female in the population mates with one. The next generation never hatches. The population collapses on its own. The US and Mexico bred and released over 94 billion sterile flies. The program took more than a decade. It worked completely. By 1966, the screwworm was gone from the United States. The barrier was then maintained at the narrowest point in the Americas, the Panama-Colombia border, for 60 years. Now it has broken through anyway. The response already underway is aggressive. The USDA immediately deployed 4 million sterile flies via ground release chambers around the Zavala County infestation zone. An additional 4 million sterile flies were already being released aerially across the region each week before the Texas confirmation. Across the combined US-Mexico zone, 100 million sterile flies are being released every single week right now. A 5-member federal strike team of veterinary officers and animal health technicians was dispatched to Texas to assist with inspections, surveillance, and containment. The Texas Animal Health Commission issued an executive order quarantining all warm-blooded animals within the infestation zone. Nothing moves out without inspection. A new sterile fly production facility is being built at Moore Air Base in Texas, with a target of producing 100 million sterile flies per week by November 2027. A factory in southern Mexico is expected to come online by July 2026. USDA Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said publicly, "We have eradicated this pest before and we will do it again." Some experts are less confident. Several scientists and agricultural researchers have publicly questioned whether the current release volumes and containment measures will be enough once summer temperatures peak and the fly population enters its fastest growth phase. Governor Abbott himself said the spread through summer was likely not possible. Now here is where it connects to your grocery store. Texas is the single largest beef and cattle producing state in the United States, a $15.5 billion industry. It is not just the biggest, it is the backbone of North American beef supply, and it is entering this crisis at the worst possible time. The US cattle herd was already at its smallest level in 75 years before the screwworm arrived. That did not happen because of the outbreak. It happened because the US had already been blocking all cattle imports from Mexico for over a year. The same screwworm moving north had already closed the southern border to livestock. That closure alone cost Mexico's livestock sector an estimated $1.8 billion in losses, and removed a critical supply of feeder calves from the American market. Major meat packers JBS, Cargill, and Tyson were already struggling to find enough cattle to run their processing plants at full capacity. Ground beef at US retail had already hit a national average of $7.85 per pound as of February 2026, record high, and that was before Texas. Here is the structural problem that makes this worse than it looks. Raising cattle to market weight takes between 14 and 24 months. There is no shortcut. You cannot respond to a supply disruption in beef the way you can in almost any other commodity. If ranchers in Zavala County lose animals to screwworm, or if the quarantine zone expands and restricts cattle movement across a wider area of South Texas, that supply does not get replaced for over a year at minimum. Every animal lost or delayed is a gap in the supply chain that shows up months later at the checkout counter. Canada imported 550,000 cattle from the United States in 2025. The US supplies over $3 billion in live animals and animal products to Canada annually, making it Canada's largest agricultural supplier by a wide margin. Canada's ban covers live animals only, not processed beef. But the live animal trade feeds the processing plants. Fewer cattle crossing the border means less throughput at Canadian meatpacking facilities. Less throughput means tighter supply. Tighter supply means higher prices. The sterile fly program beat this parasite once. It took over a decade and 94 billion flies to do it. Right now, the US is releasing 100 million flies a week and has 2 confirmed cases in a single Texas county. Summer is arriving, the flies are active, the cattle herd has no cushion. Canada shut the border on day 2 of the outbreak. Not because the screwworm can survive a Canadian winter. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency acknowledged the cold climate prevents long-term establishment. Canada shut the border because one infected animal crossing north is one animal too many when the supply chain is already this tight and the parasite is already this close. Whether the containment holds over the next 90 days will determine whether this stays a South Texas problem or becomes a North American one.